Folks, Simon Brown here, joined by Njabulo and Nsibande. As you're coming in, if you're seeing my screen, if you can hear me, if you can raise your hand in the Zoom application. Brilliant, hands coming aplenty. I always forget which one I'm in. Is it GoToWebinar? Is it Zoom? Is it Teams? Is it some other beast of a sort? And it is the 7th of April. I don't know why that is saying the 8th of April. Turns out my ability to do math is little skewed. Anyway, trust me on that. It's the 7th, not the 8th. Quick update from Think Markets. They announced today that they have launched equities at 0.25%. ZAR equities. Those US will come in a couple, and I think in about a month or so. And I think it's trading only through the app at the moment. So you've got to have the app. It's not on the website. That will come in time. But you can now buy the entire range of JSE listed at the same time. And I've got my, remember the cash, my ZAR cash, which I want to move to dollars, and I need to move that across. So folks want, I can do that live this evening to show you how the process works. Let me know in the chat or the Q&A. I can do it towards the end. But let's have a quick squiz before I hand over to Njabulo. Trades that are rolling. Nothing pending. What do we got? We've got Nasdaq, which triggered. I'm in, and now it's looking ugly. Let's see how it is looking at this point. I don't know, it's recovered a fair bit. In fact, it's moderately in profit for me. So Nasdaq going along. I ignored that candle because that was Friday, which was Good Friday, whatever the case was. And then I erroneously thought, I only discovered on Tuesday morning that they were open on Monday. I assumed that most world markets were taking the long weekend. The US is weird. And in the case of the New York Stock Exchange, and therefore the other exchanges follow, New York Stock Exchange can't be closed for more than 3 days in a row, except in extenuating circumstances, like when 9/11 happened. So what you'll note often, for example, Thanksgiving is the Thursday they closed. They open on the Friday, but they open for a couple of hours and then they close. And very little happens in that time. And I'd totally forgotten about that. S&P muddling along, new closing high yesterday, not massive. UK going nicely. I had the trade. I was stopped from it. What I've done with S&P was taking Njabulo's idea, which was a re-enter. There was my entry. There was my stop. And then I took a re-entry on it. ZAR 40, South Africa. I'm not trading this one in this account because, again, all the currency fun and games. It did give a buy. It's coming back. We had a weekday today thanks to Naspers process, and we'll see how that goes. A couple of folks are not trading gold, but gold in of itself seems to have found a bit of support at around that 1680, and actually probably looking more positive than it has in a while, but not anything that would deeply excite me.
Yeah, it looks like a nice double bottom there.
Yeah, nice double bottom coming through. We sort of on that what's it, the 1740 odd is certainly some resistance. If you can get through that, the 721 moving averages are looking like they're preparing to cross. We might get some upside in gold, and that's inflation fears, the US 10-year treasury, and all of those worries coming through. Europe, no new action happening here. Australia, not trading because of their crazy time zones. China, not happening here. Brazil not trading. Where's the one? US 50, which is the Russell 2000. Gave us a buy, but hasn't confirmed and is now actually looking fairly ugly. Those moving averages haven't uncrossed yet. But what we're seeing, and if we zoom out a bit more, there's been some sort of consolidation here since around Feb, which is, we're seeing a fair bit of that. S&P, less so. That's certainly got some trend, but we've been seeing some, Germany moving, Nasdaq consolidating to the weaker side, but looking to move higher. Nikkei 225, Japan also consolidating, and consolidations are horror shows for folks who are trying to do trend trading as I do. But the one that I'm watching at the moment is the US, and then the Nifty triggered but didn't confirm, and now we wait and see. If it goes a little bit higher, we'll get a confirmation there as well. Not trading the sub indices, but we're seeing a little bit of strength coming through in bits of Europe. France, Spain looking okay. We had a squiz a moment ago. There's Germany looking fairly nice. Europe looks like it's starting to come to the party, and I'm going to trade that via that, not the Nifty 50, the Eurostox 50. But Eurostox 50 has run on me already, so we'll park that. Sorry, that was Nifty 50. I must remove that one because I can't buy fractions. And therefore, I'm trading at $1 a point, and that's an insane index, and $1 a point just decimates my portfolio, makes it look absolutely crazy. So not a heck lot happening. Two positions, both open in the US, bit of profit, $40 sitting in profit there. Going to move the rest of the US dollars across, and then we'll have the full account, and we will be off to the races. Let's see where things start to work. The key point here, what I'm doing is I'm actually thinning down the list of indices that I'm trading. And some of that's because the Nifty 50, the challenge was quite simply the $1 a point and I can't do my $40 risk that I want to do per trade. Some of the other issues are just time zones where they don't give me 24-hour trading. So I've got to be up and about at weird times, and I get up early for my radio show, but I'm doing a show. I'm not wanting to also now have to suddenly look at charts. My mornings are tight in terms of wake up, get to studio, and everything else. So not a heck lot happening. A fair bunch happening in the equity space. A lot more fun there. Someone on that one, gold. Yeah, there. I don't trade it, but if we zoom in on it, just not crossing there. Can you use the 721 in commodities? You can. I never have, but certainly it does give some trade signals on the 721 as well. 721, which is what I've got here, doesn't work on equity because equity is just too volatile. You need the less volatile environment, which is your indices, your commodities, and then of course your currencies at the same time. Let's park that there. Njabulo, over to you. Let's see how your week has gone. Although it's been a weird week because of all the holidays.
Yeah. Evening, ladies and gents. There you go. Cool. So started trading the laser system on the S&P 500 ETF and the Russell 2000 ETF. Trading the ETFs because they're not continuous. They close at some point. In this case, at 10 our time, and they open 3:30 our time. So that time zone is fairly well for me. So we got a trigger on the S&P here, but it didn't confirm until about 3 days later. That's where it confirmed. I entered on the next day, looking very, very nice. Gapped up. I believe this was on Monday. Also got a trigger on the Russell 2000 ETF. That's where I got the trigger from, and confirmed the very next day. Entered on next of the confirmation. Looks like we are going to get stops today, but we'll see how it closes after 10 o'clock. Funded this with a small $100 account, moving nicely, slowly. And coming back to the SA equities market, which is my primary trading market. The day started well today, and it got sold off midday and kind of recovered towards the close day. Can give that a sec. That's all. There you go. So new trade that I entered today was on BHP. I think now this thing is frozen. Okay, let me just quickly restart the app and I'll reshare my screen in just a bit.
Cool.
So we back in, yeah, we're back in business. So a new trade that I entered today was on BHP. Nice. So I got stopped on BHP on a dividend on XDev, and it continued to drop furthermore. But there was a nice resistance that held quite well for a while. And then it broke today. And then as I entered just before the close today, I'll add into the position once we, not that one there, once we break to that level there, if I can move my stop accordingly nicely. And again, when we break above that 490 odd level, and then I'll add into the position and throw my stop into this box. But it was just testing the support of the current box that it's currently in. Absa Group still moving. So it came back to so this was the break, 3% break higher. But the market ran away from me. I put a sneaky bid. I got filled on that pullback there, and it's just been staying dead for this past week, not moving.
That is dead.
Yeah, that's proper.
Yeah.
Similarly with African Rainbow, I got stopped on XDev. I marked the wrong date on the journal, but I jumped back in on that break there, just at the close. It's still not moving, moving nowhere, slowly. But when we properly break through, maybe above that level there, I'll add into the position and maybe pull my stop there. As you can see, the 50-day exponential moving average is holding nice there as support, which means this is probably a safe place to put a stop to. But yeah, we'll see as I don't know what would be the catalyst for that move. Aspen looking quite good, looking quite lekker. Did look like it was going to break and make a new. Come on, there you go. It did look like I think it was on Tuesday, on Friday. Did look like it was going to break and make a new close high, which it that the last time it closed above that was back in July last year. So that would be quite a significant level. Oh, by the way, Simon and I were chatting about monthly charts on the podcast. Check out that Village Shooter podcast. On the Village Shooter website. So yeah, as when we get a higher close on a close above that 152 level, I'll add into this position. I'm seeing a question from Tyler. What's the trigger? I'm guessing that's on the lazy. So the trigger is a price through the 15-day exponential moving average. If I can quickly jump to the Citrix 40 trade. The green line would be my 15-day exponential moving average. So price through it is the trigger, and the confirmation is a close above that trigger candle, and then you enter on the very next candle. You'd notice that the price reverted again, and then we had a second trigger, but then the initial trade had not been in profit. And the exponential, the 30, our stop loss, 30-day exponential moving average hasn't moved much. So we would be essentially adding to a losing position, increasing our risk in the process. Capitec finally broke through that. Remove all of that. Finally broke through that bull flag there. but came back to retest that 50-day exponential moving average, essentially giving me with a nice, a better place to put a stop loss should we break back above that 148, that 1,485 level. You know, the banking index is looking to recover, and Capitec looks to be the leader of the pack. Similarly with Absa Group and First Rand. Coronation, a trade that I like quite a lot. I moved my stop just before we started to 49.90. I'll move it again to just below that that pullback should we break that 56 rand level once we back on the run. And on Discovery, so I entered on the break there, a break of the bull flag, but it came back to test the support around that 132 level. And now currently trading below that 50-day exponential moving average, which is ever so slightly worrisome. But that 32 rand level is holding quite strongly as support. You know, on Discovery, small kangaroo tail there, testing that 50-day exponential moving average, which does kind of look quite bearish at the moment. But until my stop is hit, I'll still be in this trade. And I'll only move it, and if we break above that 145 level, I'll add into the position and throw my stop to that 129 level. And again, when we break through that 158, I'll add into the position and throw my stop behind me accordingly. Another one that looked like it was confirming today was Distal. Actually, Distal is one of my favorite trades of all time. Took it back. That's my first entry there. I've been riding it for a while now. Unfortunately, trying to be disciplined has been detrimental on this particular trade because I could have added on that break there and again there. And similarly, but now I can, waiting for a breakthrough that 122 level. Want to get a close above it. I want to close above it, not just trading, not just the trade above that level. I want to close above it. And similarly to Distel, Fushini is also one of the those trades that I've been holding for quite some time now. No risk on the trade. Stop losses well in profit, and stop losses below that 50-day exponential moving average. And that 120 level looks first at 114 level, and that 120 level looks like a nice place to place a stop loss once we get a trigger there, or once we break through that 131 level. And when I'm looking at the weekly charts, these two, you know, the 30-week exponential moving average is slowly closing in on that 60-week exponential moving average, in which case I'll be able to then take trades on Fushini on the long side. Perhaps that breakthrough, that 131 level, I'll then add into this position and trail my stop behind me accordingly. Next is Glencore. It looks like Glencore has finally shrugged off that dividend adjusted move. Yeah, so I'm waiting for a breakthrough that 63 rand and some change, and throw my stop loss back higher on the stock. Another one that's significantly in profit is Impala. Impala looking quite good. It does the so it has now broken through back into this higher box, that 279 318 box. It's back in it, but I would now want to close above that 291 level. Then I'll add into the position and throw my stop to just below that swing low there, just below that level there. And I've also gotten dividends on this trade. That's one of the many things that I like rather about long-term trading, is that from time to time you get yourself some nice dividends. Kumba similarly got stopped on ex-div day, but it's been dead since I entered the position, but not out as yet. So yeah, I'll add into the position above that 640 level, and similarly again that 680 level. I'll then add to the position and throw my stop behind me. Similarly, I believe it was to yesterday. Yesterday was ex-div on Monday, so that's a dividend adjusted move. Then Monday looks like it has shrugged it off. So when it close above that 392 level, I'll add into the position, throw my stop to 370, which will be a break even in this trade there. I'm securing a fair chunk of the profit. Tyler is asking which type of moving averages I use for my trigger. All of them are exponential moving averages. I prefer exponential rather than simple because they put more weight into the recent candles. Next is just remove those two. Mr. Price. Mr. Price looking quite nice, moving quite well. Broke through into a higher box on the I believe it was Yepishef announcement or the approval of the power deal. Yeah, Mr. Price looking quite nice. Looking to move my stop to around those levels there once we start properly, once the stock properly, trades properly into this higher box. Next is Northern. Northern looking quite lekker. I was waiting for a close above those high closes there. We got it there. Even though the candle was red, but the close was higher than these two high closes there around that 258.30. And then I entered on the next day. We did get higher at open. Perhaps a limit order would have served me better, but that's just chasing pennies. So yeah, Northern looking quite nice, and that 241 level looks like a nice place to place my stop next. That's the next place I'm looking to place my stops, unless, of course, the price gives me an even better place to do that.
Yeah, and platinum is looking good, which is going to help those platinum guys even more.
Yeah,
the PGMs.
Yeah. Pepco looks like a false break. I was looking for a breakthrough. Those closes there, we had it there. It looks like a false break, but we had a flat doji, small doji, nonetheless, and that looks quite bullish. Looks like a nice reversal back into the upside, and perhaps when we do. When we break the 17 rand level to trade into a higher box, I'll add into the position, and that 15 rand level will be a nice place to place my stop, which means my first trade would be in break even, and then essentially I'll have 1% risk on the trade, more or less. Quilter asset managers are looking not too bad. Also, Quilter was paying dividends. Yesterday was ex-div. Unfortunately, think markets no longer puts dividends on this terminal, but yeah, I did get some dividends earlier this morning. Yeah, quotes are looking quite nice. When we break back above, I'm not too sure if I'll actually be breaking into a higher box. I'll add into the position and throw my stop to perhaps those levels there. Since that dividend adjusted move didn't break those lows there, I'll just put it just below those lows, and that 50-day exponential moving average, once we cross that 34 rand level, will be above this level. Then that's a decent place to trade a stop loss to, and maybe add into the position as well. Real Bafokeng has been flat since paying the dividends, but it's starting to look like it's recovering. Yeah, also one of the better trades that I've taken so far. once we break above that 180 level, I'll add into the trade and pull my stop to the around that 104, 104, 105-ish level behind me there. And if I can just put a line chart for a sec. This is how I like my buying to be. The next buy should be higher than the previous buy at all times. So even the next one will be an even higher one. So I average on the upside, not on the downside. Rand Merchant, it did looks like it was a false break. I did break above that 31 Rand level, breaking that bull flag. But my stop loss is well out of traffic. I'm not too worried on that stock. And it looks like it's quite volatile as well. But once we break through that 33 Rand level, I'll add to the position and throw my stop to around the 29 Rand level. Yeah, and just jog along the trend for as long as we possibly can. SAPI as well looking quite decent. Actually, I'm inclined to pull my stop there. That's a quite a decent place to place a stop loss. And then once we close above that 52 Rand level, I'll then add into the position with the stop loss where it currently is at the moment. And then again, when we actually break about outside this box, and we will be looking, into clear land territory on SAPI. I'm liking SAPI quite a bit. Citrix 40, I'm trading Citrix 40 on the lazy system. And we bring back let me just do this. So we had a trigger there, confirmation there, triggers a breakthrough, the 15-day exponential moving average. Confirmation is the close higher. So yeah, it's been muddling along. It did look like it were starting to move yesterday, but that process Nespers trade, I'm trading update today, just pushed back the index because yeah, Nespers is quite a heavy load on the top 40. ShopRite looking quite nice. Waiting for that breakthrough, that 162 level. It did when it broke out. It looks like it had it looked like it had some momentum, but looks like that has slowed down a little bit, but not significant enough to cause concerns. So I'm waiting for the breakthrough 162, and then I'll add to the position. I think the ShopRite stock is just warming up at the moment, and we'll see some major movement relatively soon. See where the 50-day exponential. Perhaps I could even now already move my stop to that 142 level, but let's not rush it as yet. Nsibande, also that pullback there was around that dividend as well. Just some of that. Testing that 50-day exponential moving average, closing below it and now back above it. So I'm waiting for a close above that 75 Rand level. And then we're off to the races. And I'll pull my stop to 62 and add to the position. Another one of the favorites, just because
This one chugging nicely, hey?
yeah, it's been actually they look better when you look at the line charts. Yeah, line charts gives you if you wanna know where stock is moving, just look at the line chart, especially on the longer time frames like the daily, weekly, and the monthly charts. Looking quite nice. Waiting for a break through the 32 Rand level, and then I'll just add into the position. My stop will be around the 30 Rand level, but not in a hurry. We're young and we're patient. Yeah, that looks like it has been dead for a while now, but the break above the 32 Rand level should be quite significant. I think it's could be wrong, but I think it's an all-time high.
Yeah.
Lastly is True, rather Woolies. Woolies entered on the break there, came back to test the bottom, the support of the box, um, but didn't violate it, not even by a smidgen. And the 50-day exponential moving average as well ahead of me in terms of, it's below my stop loss, but now it's looking like it's starting to start to move. Above 50, I'll add and trail my stop to 46, and then again above 52, I'll add and trail my stop to below that doji there, to around 47. And similarly, when I start to get more and more triggers, I'll add into the position. Stock that I'm looking at quite closely is Tiger Brands. Has been stuck in this range for a while. From since it essentially hasn't recovered
October. Yeah.
since October. It
Yeah.
hasn't recovered, but the fact that it moved into a higher box and holding that 50-day exponential moving average quite well is quite positive. A close above the 218 level would be good for me. I'll take the trade and put my stop just below the 50-day exponential moving average, maybe with a little bit of room. But once we break that, yeah, that's going to be quite a decent trade, just because of how long it stayed in that range. Because typically when stocks stay in a range, when they break either side, the move is typically amplified. And then last on my watch list is Truwords. It's Truwords. True. There you go. Nice bull flag on Truwords. And if I look at my weekly chart of what I was waiting for, um, about 7 points from crossing. Bitterly close. So once we break through that bull flag, I'll take the trade and put my stop around below that 44 and 20 level. Famous brands. Do we have famous brands here?
Yeah, I've seen. I don't know. Famous Brands has been flying.
Because we don't have famous brands. It's just the equity. This is just the
No.
equity.
Ah, okay. But
So
it has.
can't be
So,
traded.
Graham, I think this is part of the whole reopening trade. We've seen City Lodge. I don't know what Spur's been doing, but there certainly has been a whole bunch of excitement and sort of, once we're out there, no Spur on here.
Yeah.
And folks are going absolutely crazy for them. And Famous Brands had they're really after spending forever around that 48, hit $60 today.
Yeah, and but the bottom half of that K-shaped recovery looks like it's starting to recover.
Yeah, yeah, it's def coming through. I'm still. I mean, City Lodge. I'm worried about from a fundamental perspective. They've got 35 million, and they're halfway to break even. So I think they ran out of money, but. Famous Brands better. Spur worries me a bit because they're a lot more sit down. I think we're going to get some more hard lockdowns. That'll hurt them. But I mean, depending if you've got time on your side, there's lots of them there. Some have run Distel, which Njabulo you've got tons of, but others are absolutely they're cheap, and they're cheap for a reason, but that reason will fade. Tyler, you're asking about NASPAS. NASPAS 10 cent. I mean, it really is very much a case of it's a China story. 10 cent is giant. I mean, they own a stake in Epic Games, they own a stake in Tesla. They've got bits of everything. There's concerns around regulation, etc. From a technical perspective, I don't see anything thrilling, but from a long term, I mean, I hold it because I hold Satrix 40, and NASPAS is 20% of that, and etc. etc. But I mean, it is absolutely a machine.
Yeah. And Darren, Astral Foods looking very nice, very nice. Except at least for me, that 30-day exponential moving average is still a fair bit away from crossing the 60-day exponential moving average. But I like the fact that it's moving into a higher box. It means that we on a good track on the stock. And I think perhaps those levels there look nice. Above that 170 level looks fairly
And the trick
decent.
with Astral is watch the maize price because that's their big input. They need a price at around 2,200 a ton. And at that point, they just print money. So if maize, because maize has been running high, if it starts to come back, Astral's suddenly in business.
Yeah. Yeah, Astro looking quite good. And I think if we draw the trend line there, it has been looks like it has been broken. Yeah, looks like only by a smidgen,
Yeah.
but it has been yeah, it has been but I think it just a few weeks. But looking quite decent at the moment.
Yeah. There's a lot. I mean, our market is full of stuff just looking good. I mean, Purple made a closing high today, not a all-time high, but a 13. There's just tons out there which is starting to look good, and it's partly that reopening, and then other reasons. I mean, Astral is going to be a maize story more than anything.
Yeah, and not too sure why JSE looked rather bearish. We had this huge gap breaking that symmetrical triangle pattern there.
Was that not a
But
dividend?
it could be, perhaps that was a dividend because it looks like
Yeah, that
it's
was the only thing
recovering
that
as
makes
well.
sense. Yeah, and then close that gap quite quick.
Yeah. Perhaps it was a dividend.
Yeah.
And I just wanted above what's this 130. Then I'll be interested in JSE for. But for now, it can lie dead for as long as it wants.
Yeah. Cool. Shall we park at the Njabulo?
Yeah, I'm not seeing any more questions.
Cool. Ladies and gents, thanks for your time, Njabulo. Always appreciate. We'll be back again next Wednesday, which will be, I can't get the date, it's the 14th, whatever the case may be, and we'll carry on rolling. Everyone, have a great evening further. Stay safe. We'll chat again next week. Cheers all.
Cheers, everyone.